Hello, my name is Jupiter Hadley, and today we're doing another episode of What's Indie News, this time for October 2017. As always, I'm here with Kemp,
Hello.
and that's it. No Joseph.
No
I didn't know
Joseph
how
today.
else to do that. Yeah, no Joseph today. I didn't know how else to go just Kemp. Unfortunately, Joseph has other things that he's doing instead of this. However, he did give us all of the news. So we will be reading Joseph's news. So he'll be here in spirit, I suppose.
Yeah, he's always here in some way or another.
Yes. Mainly because he provides most of the news. So he can't not be here, even if he's not here.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll get into the news that he's picked. All right. So I'm going to play Joseph and also myself. And I'm going to read a bit of news. Cool. So a lot of this is actually really relevant to me. Epic announced the Epic Mega Jam for Unreal Engine 4. So the Unreal Engine developers Epic Games have announced its yearly Mega Jam. The jam, which returns for the third year running with sponsors such as Intel, Algorithmic, and Falcom Northwest, all providing prizes for finalists. This jam will start November 2nd at 2 p.m. EST. Teams of up to 5 people can compete by developing a game using the Unreal Engine on a to-be-announced theme by November 9th at 3 p.m. EST. The only rules are that the games must have custom gameplay that goes beyond what the standard templates in the Unreal Engine 4 offers, and all assets must have no default materials, and all other projects must be exported to either Android, Windows, or Mac OS.
So does that jam there last exactly a week and 1 hour?
I believe so, yeah.
November, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Yep. Tight times.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so I've covered a couple of these jams. Normally, my computer can't handle these games because it can't handle Unreal Engine 4. But I have a new computer this year with a new graphics card, and it's shiny and can handle it. So that's very exciting for me anyway.
Nice. So you can finally cover it.
I can cover it well. Like, I covered it in the past. I just didn't cover it well. You know what I mean? It's like most of the games didn't work, and they were like fucking super laggy. But I try.
Yeah, you can sort of give it its full treatment this time.
Yes. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I wonder what the prizes will be. I bet you they've announced the prizes, to be honest.
The prizes, actually, I took a look at that. So there's all sorts of licenses and assets and that sort of thing, subscriptions to websites. Right at the top, there is SSDs, laptops, and a PC.
Ooh.
With some pretty good-looking specs. So yeah, proper prizes.
Proper prizes. I never really know about prizes in game jams because some people are like super against it, some people are super for it, some people only participate in game jams that have prizes.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I know a lot of game jams are deliberately not competitive.
Mm-hmm.
It's just meant to be you make the game you make, and whatever quality it is, you made a game, and that's the important thing.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, hopefully there'll be some really good games made in that time frame.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. Moving on. I don't know how to transition, I've realized.
Oh, moving on works.
Moving on. Next, DMCA issuing red cards to gamers for copyright infringements. So Develop Online reported just on like that whole thing where Caroline Pepper and Roach Glowak from Reed Smith, they sort of talked about just sort of the DMCA takedown request that was issued to PewDiePie following a controversial live stream. And if you're legally allowed to DMCA YouTubers based on using your stuff and doing stuff you don't like. Because YouTube doesn't handle copyright claims well as it is. So being a developer and trying to control who plays your game and who makes content around your content. A lot of people, when this DMCA was originally given to PewDiePie, or I don't know, given's not the right word, but to put on his channel, a lot of people were like, well, can you even do that? Can you decide that you don't like what he's saying, therefore you're not letting him play your game? And And I believe
Yeah.
this was like, what game was it? It was Firewatch, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because there are legal requirements for when you're allowed to issue a DMCA.
Mm-hmm. You can't really use it to censor the internet. You can't really use it to take down stuff you just don't agree with.
Yeah.
You have to really prove that you own the copyright and you're not letting them. So the game, as far as I'm aware, didn't say that, like, if you're a YouTuber and you use this game and you use bad language, we won't allow you to record this game. But I have played some indie games that have a title screen that say, hey, if you're a YouTuber, you can YouTube our game. We're happy with that. If you use foul language, you can't.
Yeah. I feel like that might become a more common thing in the fallout from this, maybe.
I think so. I wonder if they're going to end up, if YouTube's going to end up looking more at its own system, at its way that it does DMCAs.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's kind of a very interesting question because you feel like there should be a way for sort of video game studios to control who can play it, but at the same time, you kind of don't want them to be able to do that because that's in a way going a little too far in terms of their power over what they're sort of putting out into the world.
Yeah.
So there's a very fine line there, and I'm not really sure any given legal framework would be able to cover all the cases, as it were.
Nothing will be able to cover everything, but it's just kind of interesting because it's like this really light thing that you can do. You can just throw a DMCA at someone. And yeah, it's like a scary legal thing, but the scary legal bit is fighting it. So it gives power in the hands of the person issuing it more than the person receiving it. But it seems like the general consensus is that you can, if you're a developer and you don't like the content, give a DMCA. However, it can be fought against at court and have fun with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the big caveat, isn't it? If you sort of issue one, then you have to be prepared that you might end up in court over it.
Mm-hmm.
And conversely, if you fight against one, you are essentially saying, take me to court.
Yep. So that was the very scary thing. I've only had a DMCA strike once. I believe we've talked about it, haven't we?
I can't remember the context, though.
So a while ago, this is going to go on a bit of a story time. A while ago this year, I was away at an event, surprising enough. I was issued a DMCA against a video that I'd made a year earlier. It was a game that I had been asked to record by the developers. And I just sort of went, hey, developer, like, hey, person who issued this, no, you told me to play this game. And they replied, yeah, it's my music in it. And I'm having an issue with my music. And then I was thrown into that. And eventually the DMCA was like, I said, take me to court. I did the whole, like, yeah, take me to court, see what happens. And nothing really came of it after a while. It expired because if they don't take you to court within a certain amount of time, it just sort of expires. And then it was reissued. And I was like, what? Take me to court? And then it was taken away like 3 days after. And I got like an actual letter from an actual human at YouTube going, we're sorry it got DMCA'd a second time. Our bad. We're really, really, really sorry. That person can't make DMCAs anymore.
There's humans at YouTube.
Yeah, there are.
I guess I don't make things on YouTube anymore. I can comment.
I can't. You make something.
But no. Yeah, it's more just surprised that they have a person that would send out letters like that. You expect everything to be automated, don't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to be from an actual person. It was really surprising when I got an email from an actual human. It was clearly a human and not a bot. I don't know. YouTube has some people, just they're hard to get to, I suppose. But yeah. IGN buys Hubble Bundle. So this month, Hubble Bundle's been acquired by IGN. The Hubble Bundle CEO and co-founder Jeffrey Rosen announced the sale in a blog post today, describing it as our biggest bundle ever. We will be working harder than ever to bring you the best gaming bundles, book bundles, and store sales while nurturing the Hubble Monthly and our new publishing initiative, Rosen said. We will keep our own office, culture, and amazing team, with IGN helping us further our plans. We will raise even more money for charity. How do we feel about this?
Now that is an interesting question.
Like,
So it could go well, but it feels like the biggest conflict of interest just waiting to happen.
I
So you
know.
got a company that publishes and reviews games all in one company.
Yeah. I don't really know how I feel about it. I don't really know how I feel about Humble Bundle. And that's another thing. Like, when I first learned about Humble Bundle, it was like, oh, cheap games, great. But they're like cheap games, and none of the money actually ends up going to the developers. Like, not
Does it now?
really, anyway. Well, it mainly goes to charity. Like,
Oh yeah,
because first of all, you're paying like a small amount of money for a lot of games. They don't get much money anyway, like per developer, even if you pick a percentage. And a while ago, I read like this big thread of people. It was ages ago. That was basically just like, yeah, Hubble Bundle. Like, it's weird that people are like, it's helping normalize paying like no money for games.
oh yeah. I mean,
Which it probably is.
yeah, you pay $1, get 5 games. Some of it's going to Humble Bundle themselves, or Humble themselves. Some is going to charity, and developers get like 5 cents each or something.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was always felt that it was kind of weird, but a good way to get loads and loads of games, I suppose. But I know that they have been like funding. They have been publishing games. I know a game that they did publish, and I know the developer of that game quite well. I was speaking to him like yesterday about Humble Bundle and how amazing it is that they published their game. And that's great because there are a lot of indie games that need to eat while they create. There's a lot of indie developers that need to eat while they create games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Humble. I don't use it anymore myself, to be honest.
No, I don't a lot myself really either. I have too many games already. I'm never going to be able to finish the ones I have, so I don't
Fair.
need another 20 a month or whatever. But
Yeah, my
yeah, it's
housemate though does Hubble monthly, and he plays a lot of the games from there. But I don't know. I don't. We'll see what happens and how it goes. It's definitely an interesting one.
yeah. I mean, I feel like if they have completely separate staff for the publishing and reviewing side, which they probably would do, it's
Yeah.
probably okay. It just depends how much pressure there is from above to sort of say, yeah, you have to review this one, and can you be kind of nice to it?
Yeah, I don't know. It definitely is a weird one. But we'll just have to wait it out and see what changes. So far, it seems like not a lot's changed, so
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
not a lot will.
Whatever happens will be a fairly slow process anyway.
Yep. Speaking of publishers, Bon Bon, last month's video game Look Club game, was picked up by Pixel Jam, the publishers, after being featured on the video game Look Club. And this now is a trend, right?
Oh yeah, so this is the third one, right? And 2 of those have been picked up by Pixel Jam for publishing. The other one being, I forget the name of it. Dino Island, was it?
Yeah, Dilo Island got picked up. What other game have they done? Isn't this their second?
I could have sworn there was one. Yeah, because there was one last month. I didn't actually end up being able to play because I was too busy. I honestly couldn't tell you what game it was anymore.
Oh, you're right. It was that shooter. It was like a shooting game. It was called Legacy of the Elder Star. I wonder why they didn't end up picking up that one.
I mean, I feel like Pixel Jam have their style of game, I guess.
I don't think either of those games that they picked, the retro sort of platformer and the absolute horror game, are in any way similar. Maybe it's because Legacy of the Elder Star is already on Steam.
Oh, it could be, yeah, because I guess a big part of what Pixel Jam are doing for the 2 is to get them onto Steam.
So that makes a lot of sense. It's really cool that they're doing that, though. They're getting these games onto Steam and that Bon Bon was picked. I thought Bon Bon... Did you end up playing it?
I didn't know.
I played Bon Bon before this. Actually.
You have talked to me about it before though, and you said it was reasonably scary, I believe.
It's fucking horrifying, this game. It is horrible. You play a child, and the child is living its life in fear of giant rat creatures that it whimpers at but has to go near. It's really scary. It's
Yeah, it
really
doesn't
scary in a
sound
way
like
that it
it.
makes you feel like a child. It makes you feel like a trapped, helpless child full of sadness.
Okay. Not my area, I think. See, I don't really play any horror games, to be honest, thinking about it.
Neither do
I
I.
think
I don't.
I really enjoyed watching Soma being played, and I've
Okay.
watched one of the Amnesia games being played, but I don't think I've actually ever played any myself.
I hate horror games. I think they're not for me. I don't understand the appeal of being scared.
And oh, PT. It was PT, weren't it? Again, I saw a Let's Play of that, and I wasn't even playing, and I was just like, I can't keep watching this.
Yeah, no, it's scary. Why do people do this? Why do you like horror games, everyone?
It's a mystery to me.
To me as well. So let's talk about some not horror games.
Yes.
We've got quite a few indie releases to talk about this month. So that's the end of the news. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. But a couple of interesting little bits and bobs here and there. For indie releases, we picked out a couple of games that were released this month that looked interesting to us. The first one I actually saw on Twitter. It's called Jawsome Date. It looks so neat. So it was created in 48 hours, less than 48 hours, by 7 students from the Enjimin game school for a game jam with the theme Do Not Attack. So it is a game jam game, and it looks great. You play as an awesome shark at a restaurant. It's their first date, and he wants to impress the cute guy in front of him. But it will be a challenge because he also really wants to eat him. Tough choice. Try to pick good answers while you're craving for blood. You can eat people at the restaurant to gain more answers. So yeah, you have to impress your date and also eat people at the restaurant so that you can have a good date.
But not eat your date, importantly.
Yeah, don't eat your date. I would not ever eat your date or suggest eating your date on any of the dates that you go on. It might end badly. With death of your date, and you can't love something that you've eaten, so
Yeah.
well, you could, but not the same.
Severely limits your future date opportunities.
It does, but it just looked like a really fun, quirky little game.
It does. It does.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like we're approaching the point where there are games where you can play as anything dating anything. So soon there will be all possible combinations of dating.
Yeah, anything can date anything at this point. It's just, if as long as you've imagined it, I'm sure you can Google it and there'll be a game about it.
And I sort of feel like I want to blame... what was the one with the pigeon? Hatoful Boyfriend?
Yeah.
I feel that like that was towards the beginning of the wave of all the dating simulators.
It was probably inspired a lot of it, though.
But yeah, dating.
Speaking...
It's a mystery.
Sorry? It's a mystery why you want to date sharks.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't myself.
I mean, I feel like it'd be dangerous and you'd have to be in water most of the time if we're going to be realistic, and that doesn't sound like a fun time either.
No. And I'm sure sharks like cold water, so that's just not even comfortable, so...
I'm not comfortable at all. Speaking of things that are not... I don't do transitions. Another game we have on our list is called Something Something Soup Something. And this game looks very, very interesting. On the site it says, the year is 2078 and it has been a decade since Homo sapiens perfected teleportation technology. Rather than using teleporters to overcome scarcity or to oppose various forms of oppression, this new technology is used to further promote economic exploitation. We hire aliens to manufacture goods on their planet and then beam the products of the cheap labor back to Terra. Due to categorical differences in language and cognition, however, the aliens often misunderstood what humans asked them to produce. So, it's like a little game about soup, it seems, but it's not, like, they don't know what soup is, so they're making, like, weird things, and, like, it's not soup, but it's kind of technically soup.
Yeah, I advise people to go and read the site just because the text on the site is great.
I mean, yeah, if you want a nice site to read, this is a nice site.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk of soup, as you'd expect, and removing personal biases about what soup is and is not. and all that sort of thing. And some fun screenshots. Just looking at a bank of equipment and which of these items can be served as soup to the hungry humans upstairs.
All of them. Serve it all as soup. But they have an example of soup, and it's a foamy liquid with shrimp and meat slices served in a coconut with an ice cream scoop. That's probably soup.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a traditional soup, but I think you could probably classify that as soup.
I mean, it's basically soup. I think that this is quite fun, and I think it's really funny sounding. I can't imagine being an alien and trying to... That's actually how, like, there's a certain street food in Mexico. I believe it was Mexico. It might have been, like, Brazil. Some country that speaks a language that I associate with Spanish. But basically, that country has, like, a dish, and it was based on an American guy going there and going, make me a hamburger. And the guy went, a what? And he went, a hamburger. And he went, oh, okay. And made him something else that wasn't a hamburger but used meat and some other ingredients. And the guy really, really liked it and was like, well, I guess this is fine. And it became like a really well-known dish there. But it was based on some guy guessing as to what a hamburger was. So I wonder if there'll actually be like really good soup, in quotes, made by these aliens.
Yeah, that's an interesting story.
I wish I could remember. I was watching like a little documentary on it because it was like, why is this weird food loved by everyone? Here, oh, well, actually, it's made by some American. And it wasn't really made by some American, but it's just an interesting story for how the food got there. Yeah, I don't know. On to the next game. I've actually seen lots of screenshots of this game floating around Twitter. It looks very interesting, very nicely made. It's called Morticians Tail. Morticians Tail is a narrative-driven, death-positive video game where you play as a mortician tasked with running a funeral home. Take on the role of recent funeral direction graduate Charlie as she learns the ropes of the business and the industry. Prepare the cadavers of the deceased via embalming or cremation, attend their funerals, and listen to their loved one's story, and interact with Charlie's coworkers, clients, and bosses. So this is like supposed to be a narrative-driven game that's a different take on death. So it's not looking at death as this like shushed thing that no one can talk about that's like deeply horrible, but looking at it sort of in a medical light and also how death affects other people around you, but not being so, I don't know, taboo, I guess would be the word.
Yeah, so sort of exploring, I guess it's the part of the process you never really want to think about, isn't it? Sort of how the body's prepared for the funeral and all that sort of thing. It's very much done behind closed doors, and you see the after effects and sort of move on. But I guess bringing some light to it is a good thing. I don't know, it's not really something I have a lot of experience with.
I hope you don't randomly embalm people.
Oh no.
That's
not
good.
without permission.
Ah, okay. I don't know what that means. Please don't embalm me.
I'll try. I can't make promises.
I think making games that normalize stuff that we don't tend to talk about makes it easier to talk about. So if we normalize the cremation process and the process embalming and stuff like that, it makes it easier to talk about death and to talk about what happens just when people die. And I think it's really great that so many games are exploring these sort of topics that aren't talked about very much, that are very hard to talk about, and they're kind of making it so that you can, you know?
Yeah, it definitely seems like a positive approach with a positive outcome.
It does. And the graphics are really beautiful, and I guess the game's quite humorous as well. There's lots of pastel colors, and it's isometric and stuff. I like isometric games, I don't know.
I guess it's a very calming graphical style.
Yeah. But now on to some games you've heard of and played.
Yes. So Bomber Crew, we talked about that last month, and I don't think I can add too much to what we talked about. But the game is actually out this month as of 2 weeks ago, 19th, which was, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And yeah, I've been playing that because it's out and I like it and I've talked about it before. For those of you who may have missed last time, it's basically, I guess it's always described as FTL in a World War II bomber, but my experience is that it does a lot more than that description makes you think, because you can choose what missions you want to play, and you're constantly, like, the whole time during the mission, you're making sure the bomber stays en route, you're doing your usual micromanagement of the crew like you'd expect in an FTL-style game, and you're doing some manual control, like you control when bombs are dropped and photos are taken and such. And it's just a really fun game, and it's one that I can digest in small chunks, which is always an advantage for me.
It's also got quite cute graphics for a game about bombs and death, I guess. I don't know if it's right, like, about death is the right word, but it's got really cute graphics. It's also got this cute little pigeon, and I keep seeing the pigeon stuffed animal everywhere, and I kind of want one.
Yeah, I know they were giving them away at EGX on a day when I wasn't able to be there, unfortunately.
Should have grabbed one.
Yeah.
Bomber Crew is actually at Indies Unplayed, the event that I ran yesterday, day before yesterday.
Oh, cool.
Not yesterday by the time you're listening to this, a couple of days ago. Yeah, and it looked really nice.
Yeah.
I've got a key to it. I should play it at some point and have actual opinions on it.
You should. I think you would probably enjoy it. I'm not sure if it's exactly your type of game or not, but...
I don't know if it is either, but I don't know what my type of game is. My type of game is always changing depending on what jam I've currently played the most of, like, a certain genre. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, if I play a game jam and they're all platformers, all of a sudden platformers aren't my favorite type of game to play because I've played so many.
So if I want to pitch a game to you, I need to make a jam around the game. And you're
you need to
basically
not
guaranteed
make
to
a
like
jam
it.
around the game so that I get sick of playing that type of game.
Yeah, and then you
I don't
won't,
think I
you won't
explained
play
it
any
well.
competitors, which is great, because you only know my game then.
Maybe. The next game is another game I've seen a lot on Twitter, actually.
Oh yes. Opus Magnum. So this is a Zachtronics game, and I guess it's, if you've seen Space Chem, it's a similar type of game to that, where you've got your input molecules and you're assembling them together in different combinations and manipulating them and putting them on little output pads. But for me, the gameplay feels a lot tighter and a lot better than Space Chem.
Okay.
And it has a story behind it that you go through as you play each mission. And the best part is it has a GIF export feature, which is why you're seeing a lot of it on Twitter.
So many GIFs. That's genius. It's such a genius idea.
It really is, because your machinery has to perfectly loop just as part of how you design it. So the GIF export feature will capture one loop of that, and just then it's a perfect loop. It's showing you exactly what it does in game, just based on that one loop of the machinery. And you just, of course, upload that to Twitter. Everyone can see exactly what you built, and it's just, I don't know. I hate to say the word engagement, but it's just really driving that engagement with the game.
It is though. I've seen it over and over again on my timeline. I'm just going to read what the store page says. It says Opus Magnum is the latest open-ended puzzle game from Zachtronics, the creator of Space Chem, Infinifactory, and Shenzhou O/I. Design and build machines that assemble potions, poisons, and more using the alchemical engineer's most advanced tool, the transmutant engine.
Transmutation.
God
that
damn
paragraph
it.
has a lot of new words.
Engine. That's a lot of words I've never had to say before. But, potions. I didn't realize people were making potions.
Yeah, you telling me you're not into your alchemy when you're not reviewing games?
Yeah, I'm not into alchemy. I sleep when I'm not reviewing games.
But no, it's a fun game. I mean, it obviously appeals more to people who like the technical type of games. But yeah, I love it. And so one of the really good things actually is that it's got the leaderboards with your friends and global leaderboards, and you can spend forever optimizing a design. but the game doesn't force you into that. It'll let you progress no matter how you solve the puzzle, as long as you solve it. So you can make the most ridiculous, bulky, slow design ever, but if it does the right thing, you finish the mission. So it doesn't really exclude people who aren't willing to put hours into optimizing.
But yes, on to the next game.
Yes, I actually don't know how to pronounce this one. PAWARUMI? It must be like PAWARUMI. Sure. But the description is basically a modern shoot-'em-up set in a retro-futuristic sci-fi pre-Columbian universe. And I don't know if I've ever heard that many adjectives on the front of the word universe. Nope. So you control a ship that has 3 separate weapons. So in game they're represented by 3 different colour weapons, and they have amazing particle effects, and I love those weapons. But the enemies are also 3 different colours, so the effect that happens changes depending on what combination of colour, weapon and enemy you're shooting with and at. So you can cause double damage, heal yourself, charge your super attack, and it's one of those sort of vertical scrolling shooters. I don't know how many of those we see these days, actually, but I do like one of those that's been implemented well, and this one really has been implemented well. Had a lot of fun with it. We played it at Res. Yeah, we played it at Res the first time, I believe, or at least first time for me. And I won a shirt for getting a high score. Yeah,
I wish I won a shirt.
Yeah, I got the high score on the day when there was least people there, so I kind of feel like I cheated the system slightly.
You still beat me, though.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, the 3 games I've mentioned there, I've played them all, and I can definitely recommend them. Bomber Crew, Opus Magnum, and PAWARUMI. All very good games.
Out of those 3 that Kemp just mentioned, I've played PAWARUMI, and PAWARUMI was quite fun. I really enjoyed just the way that the shooting works and how you can end up healing yourself by using the right color on the right enemy. I think it's great. It's very, very different, but done well. Graphics are also stunning.
Oh yeah, it's lovely graphically. And I'm not sure I've seen the 3 colour weapons and 3 colour enemies thing done elsewhere. I'm going to say that and people are going to be like, oh yeah, here's 100 games that have done it before. But for me at least, that's my first time playing one of those, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
But on to some games that I've seen at events that I've been to. If you know me, or if you follow me on Twitter, I go to way too many events. And that's all I do with my life.
You go to all the events.
I really, really do at this point. So this month I've got 3 events to talk about, 2 to talk about games from. So the first event is Play Expo. I went to Play Expo in Manchester. It was a smaller event. It wasn't focused on big games. It was focused mainly on retro games. But there were like a big indie section, which was quite nice. And I got to play all of the indie games there and had a really, really great time. Some of these are games that I may have mentioned before, some are not. The first one is Fragmental. Fragmental is an intense, competitive, and cooperative couch play multiplayer twin-stick shooter with some of the fastest and most frantic gameplay around. It's a single-screen, explosive arcade blast of fun where the weapons and arenas are deadly and the rivalry is fierce. So up to 4 people play this game, but you can play with bots. And it's neon and colorful, and the weapons are unique and amazing, and each round's over in 4 seconds.
Wow.
If you don't pay attention, you die. Like, you die so fast in this. I mean, they are sometimes longer than that, but you die so fast, either to environmental factors or to other people with guns or weapons. Everything happens super, super fast. You're put in a random location, and you fight in these different arenas that happen randomly. And if you kill yourself, or if an environmental factor kills you, you lose a point. However, if you kill someone else, you gain a point. So the goal is to get to 10 points. That was really fun. It's also just super colorful, super neon, and super fun to watch.
I feel like I want to play this. I don't have anyone to couch co-op with, though.
They have bots, so if you don't have friends, and they have different strengths on bots. So you can play against a bot that's medium, that's really hard, that's low. Yeah, I like the bots.
It sounds like the sort of game that will be a lot of fun to play in a group on the couch, but also it might be very friendship destroying.
Oh yes, it's very intense, especially when the rounds are so fast.
Yeah, I really want to see this being played. I'm going to look up videos after this.
You should, and then you should invite me over and play it with me.
I feel like you'd destroy me.
I mean, I would, but it'd be fun. Onto a game that I can't destroy you with. It's called ERSATZ. However you want to pronounce that. This is a game that was developed by a single person. It's a hardcore, speed-focused action platformer featuring an original, dynamic, progressive soundtrack and rhythm elements. You run, jump, slam, slide, dash, and survive your way through 8 varied and increasingly intense levels in multiple modes, playstyles, starring tough bosses and game elements that move to the ever-present beat. So this game, as well as the first game I've talked about, so Fragmental and this game called ERSATZ, I don't know how to actually say it. They're both currently out on Steam. So far, all of the games we've talked about today are out on Steam. And if you want to check them out, there'll be links in the description. Or out on itch. This game, I really loved it. The graphics are these pixel art graphics that are just beautiful. The gameplay is super challenging, but super nice. The rhythm elements work really well. Especially bosses that you defeat in the rhythm way. And there's also a lot of secrets in this game. So if you jump up and you find like a note, you can find like every player who plays the game and plays this level, the first one to find this note gets to read the note, and the rest of the people don't get to read the note. So if me and Kemp were playing at around this time, and I found the note first, Kemp would find it second, and he wouldn't be able to read it. And that was just like the biggest challenge ever to me. Trying to find a note that hadn't been read. They had all been read. It was very disappointing. But that's such a cool idea.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I feel like that's I mean, it's a mechanic that's going to end up disappointing people because they can't get the stuff, but rewarding the first person in the game to ever do a particular thing does feel like... It feels kind of nice, if you know what I mean. It's like there's a special thing from the developer to you, and you're the only person who will ever see that.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a cool idea. I don't know, and the game itself is just stunning and challenging, and the sound is upbeat and wonderful, and it's just an all-around great game. And it's very, very cheap for what it is as well. It's not a whole lot of money at all. It's only like £6.99. It's great, though. It's a great game. It really is. But yeah.
So you're on your fast games today, it seems.
I'm on my fast. Yeah, well, the first two, Play Expo had a couple of fast games. This next game is not quite fast. It's called BBQ, like BEEBEEQ. And so BBQ is a game that's not quite out yet, and it's a VR game. And I normally don't play VR games, but this time I did. Let me read it to you. It's an isometrical VR party game. Take flight with your friends as a squadron. Let me try that again. BBQ is an isometrical VR game. Take flights with your friends as a squadron of bees. Protect your home from the gargantuan chef, or take on the role of the chef. It's not going to be easy. All you want is a quiet Sunday afternoon. These pesky bees are relentless. So in the demo that we were playing, one person played the chef in the VR, and the rest of the people, up to 4 players, played bees. And what would happen is the chef would either be in his kitchen, just hanging out, or making food, and the bees would be stinging him to death, or moving his food off the grill and contaminating it. So the grill one was more challenging than just stinging him, but you could sting him in his face, and then his eyes got all swollen, he couldn't see, his hands, and then his hands got all swollen, and he couldn't hold stuff to hit you with. Or his neck, which also made his eyes swollen. And that would give you points, whereas him knocking you down would give you points. In the other mode, you could still sting him like that, but your main goal is to move food off the grill, and his main goal was to cook food on the grill.
Huh. See, I do like asymmetrical multiplayer games. It adds...
it's intense.
It definitely adds something. Looking at the site here, it was at Rezzed. I completely missed it there.
It was at Rezzed. I also missed it at Rezzed because I don't play VR games. And I was told at Play Expo, you should really play this VR game. So I went in nice and early before anyone else had played it and got to have a go on it and had a great time.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I haven't played any VR games yet.
At all?
No. There was the one at Gamerbake. Whenever
I played that with you, the race car game.
Year? Yeah, the racing one. It had a name like VR Karts or something obviously
Yeah,
racing.
VR something something.
But yeah, I think that's the only one I've ever played.
Huh.
So yeah,
The
B-game
developers-
sounds good.
This B game is quite great, and the developers gave me the apron that the chef is wearing,
Oh, really?
but in real life, and I have it in my closet.
Oh, that's cool. So you can
I've
wear
yet
that
to
when you
take a
play it next
selfie with
time
it.
then?
I will. I'm gonna bring it to wherever they are next, and I'm gonna wear it while I play it, and I'm gonna be the chef wearing the chef apron in real life, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
There'll probably be a video somewhere when I do it. So,
Yeah, when you're roundup videos, and half the video is you walking around in the chef's apron.
yes. That'd be quite cool, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to a game that's not about chefs. It's called Balance of Kingdoms. This was interesting. This was also at EGX, but I didn't really play it there. Balance of Kingdoms is a competitive multiplayer strategy game with a twist. You must build your kingdom on a beam balanced on top of a mountain while attempting to defeat your opponent. The game will feature many different game modes, the main focus being multiplayer battles where your players can join a clan and compete in tournaments to win special customizable buildings for your kingdoms. The other game modes include single-player campaigns and free builds and challenges. So I played like 1v1, and basically you build your little town. You've got 30 seconds to build your little town up on your small balancing board, and you want to have like different types of buildings in there. So there's like windmills that make money so that you can buy more buildings. There's houses which have people that can then work, which you also need for some buildings. There's towers which take a couple of hits before they move. They're like really good at blocking cannons. And then there's a couple of different types of cannons that you can blast each other with. Once the 30 seconds is up, you start blasting your cannons and trying to not tip over. You can still build stuff. So if you start to tip, you can like throw down a bunch of buildings on one side. But you probably will die. I died a lot. I didn't do well.
Huh. I'm looking at a video here, and it's I'm not quite sure what it reminds me of. There's a bit of Angry Birds in there.
There's a bit of Angry Birds, just a little touch of Angry Birds. In there.
Just with everything collapsing, obviously a core part of the game.
Everyone dying.
That looks kind of fun.
It is. It is really, really fun. Sometimes it's very quick. Sometimes as soon as the 30 seconds is over, I found myself already tipping over before anyone had fired a shot at anyone. And then that was that. Unfortunately. But yes. Another multiplayer game. There were a lot of multiplayer games at Play Expo. But another really interesting one was the Ottoman Empire. So the Ottoman Empire was a game where you played otters, and they're in an arena blasting each other with water guns because they are space otters, and they also have a water jetpack. That's the game, really. Currently, the developers are putting out free updates to the game, and they're relying on feedback from the community to then create the game, like to then continue to edit the game, which I thought was really cool. So a lot of the stuff, a lot of the features that are in the game were picked by the community who have played it, and by stuff like that, I suppose. Yeah, it looks like a really interesting game. I like the theme behind it. I like the weirdness behind it of these otters fighting in these arenas. And I like the fact that they're fighting with water guns as opposed to like real guns. And I think it's cool that they're taking what the community has to say so seriously and molding the game around that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a place for games that are, I guess, arena shooters, but a bit cuter and not using real guns. Because, I mean, you can play any game and get blood and guns, can't you?
Yeah.
It's nice to see people doing something a bit different.
And basically you can see it's first, second, third, and fourth build. First, second, third, and fourth build. I don't know. It says like update 3, but there's a difference in it up on itch right now. And if you follow them on Twitter, you'll be aware of future builds that are uploaded. They're uploading quite regularly so far, so we'll see how it goes. It's definitely a game to watch and be mindful of.
Yeah.
Another multiplayer that you should watch and be mindful of is a game that I've talked about before, but I'm going to talk about it again because I can. It's my podcast, my rules. It's called Mechanic Panic. And so Mechanic Panic, I feel like I talked about it for our EGX video. And it's basically like a student-made game with up to 4 players. It's kind of like Overcooked, except you're building cars, and that's what you're doing. So they had another booth there at Play Expo, and this time they had a timer above the car. And I just wanted to talk about how I felt about this new change in the game.
Okay.
I didn't like it.
I mean, we know how much you like your Overcooked, so...
I love Overcooked. I didn't like the timer above the car, and I'll tell you why. This is a game that you can play with up to 4 players, but sometimes you're playing with 2, and sometimes the timer is so short of a time, and the car needs so many parts that you can't physically do it in the time, and it felt frustrating. Despite that,
I guess it is too optimized for 4 players, basically.
I feel like the timer did optimize it too much for 4 players.
Yeah. So it could do with being... It could do with like automatically adapting to a number of players there are, I guess.
Yes.
How do you feel about the timer in the sort of... In general, like, do you accept the timer being there otherwise, other than that? Or would you prefer just to not be there at all?
Other than the fact that it was so short. I wish it was in a different place because it kind of hovered above the cars weirdly, and that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I wish it was more like off to the side. And I kind of almost wish if you're going to have a timer that I should be able to see the person that I'm making the car for and see them getting like impatient, because I feel like that rushes me more than a timer because it's a human being impatient. So I don't know how easy that'd be to put in.
So you can like see through a window into a waiting area where there's a person standing there sort of tapping the foot and looking at the watch every so often and
then coming up to the window and yeah. Just getting angry. I want to see more angry people. But I really like the core concept, and I really like how it's shaping out. There's more parts in it now, more things to put on your car. The car's got a bit of animation as you build it up. I do wish there was more animation. I wish there was more change as you're building it up, but that'll come with time. But yeah, no, it's looking really good, and I really hope that they continue this and it ends up being as fun as Overcooked is for me.
Yeah. Those robots are very cute, by the way. I'm looking at the...
They're very, very cute robot.
Here.
Have you played this?
No, I'm just having a look around while you talk. I feel like I want to play it, though.
I know, that's the thing. It's really quite fun to play, especially with 4 players. It just is a bit rough around the edges at the moment, but it's made by a student team in their spare time. So they'll get there. They'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, you should.
Oh, were they, according to this, they were EGX?
Yeah, they were at EGX. This is where I first saw them, and I feel like I talked about them in the EGX video as well.
Possibly. The name did sound familiar, actually. I completely did not see them at EGX. I missed so much stuff at EGX.
It's because you only went for like 1 day.
2 days.
You only went for like 2 days.
I missed the busy days.
You missed the days with all the good games.
Yeah, that does seem to be the way it went.
That's definitely the way it went. You'll have to go for more days next time.
Yeah, there's the small matter of being ill, unfortunately.
Well, I'm glad that you're not. Hopefully you won't be ill next year.
Yeah, we can hope. I mean, last time I was ill after EGX, this time I was ill during EGX. Maybe next time I'll be ill before EGX.
Yeah, but don't get me ill. Moving on to the next event I went to this month. Well, actually not the next event, but the next event I'm going to talk about. I went to Sweden for a week. I went to this event called Sweden Games Conf. It was partially a partially a conference, partially a game expo. So there were a lot of really informational talks, a lot of really lovely talks. But there were also a showcase of games that were made in Sweden, and a showcase of games made from an incubator program that's in Sweden. So they have this really lovely incubator program in the town of Hovda, or Hovda, or however you say the name of the town. And basically the incubator program takes in studios that applies, and it feeds them and gives them a place to work and all the resources they need to become successful. without charging them really, and that's great. It's a wonderful thing, and a lot of great games have come out of it. And those studios that have been able to thrive, like Coffee Stain Studios, one of the big ones, they made like Goat Simulator, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, some really awesome games. They were able to invest in the other studios that are now part of it. So it's a really, really great community and a great opportunity for game developers. And we got to see some games from that and some games not from that, just around the expo. And I had a great time. I had a really lovely time in Sweden. But I'm here to talk to you about games. The first game that I'm here to talk to you about was also a VR game, but also a multiplayer. So I played a lot of multiplayers recently. This one was called Puppet Fever. So it's the VR Puppet Theater. Welcome to a party game. You play directly with your followers. Gameplay is like a game of Pictionary, but you act it out with puppets. It's a VR game where one player is a game show host in a puppet theater. Let your followers participate directly through low latency streaming services. So the idea is, the way that they were demoing it there was one person was the puppet master with the VR headset on, and the other players, I think there was like 3 or 4, were playing on controllers, and they were yelling out loud what they thought was going on. So the puppet master, I'm going to call the main player, gets to see this whole world inside the theater with all of these boxes they can open up with different characters in it and different props in it. And they've also got different backgrounds at the bottom, and they can make like a whole puppet show based on the theme that they know or the word that they know, in hopes of getting other people to recognize it before the time runs out.
Huh. That seems like a really interesting game.
It's also super cute.
Oh, yeah, looking at these screenshots here, it's very cute.
It was really fun to play.
Yeah, it looks it. Again, it's one of those asymmetrical games where the players do completely different things, and this one isn't a shooter, so...
Nope, but you can give your little guy lasers and make him pew-pew aliens in the puppet show.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
really
I'm
cute.
seeing a little animation here. Oh, that's nice, yeah.
So that was quite fun to play around with. And I got to play with my friends. Another game I got to play with my friends. I'm going to go through these a bit faster, I feel, because I feel like I'm lingering on games for a while. Another game that I played that I really liked was Rocket Wars. There were a couple of games that were like space shooters out there, but this one was a bit different. The graphic style was super clean. Everything looked great, but you were shooting each other in this area that also had planets, and the planets' orbits were like something you had to take into account when shooting and destroying each other. And there were also different power-ups that'd pop up here and there, and it was really a great time. I had a great time anyway.
Yeah, I like that.
Did I say the name of it?
Again, I'm watching a video as you're talking, and it looks really good. Like I say, it's very clean graphical style, and I love the gravity being integrated into gameplay there.
And this game's already out on Steam at £5.59. So you can pick it up now.
This is completely irrelevant, but it reminds me of a game that I played way back on some little handheld computer device called Gravitation Proclamation, I believe.
Okay.
But you know games where you have one artillery cannon each side of a field, and you have to get the right angle and power on the shot to hit the other one.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically that, but in space. So your cannons are mounted on different planets in an arena, and you have to use the gravity to sort of wrap your shot around various other planets and stuff that are in the way to hit the other person.
Okay.
And that was so much fun to play. Especially when the shot went wildly off a screen and circled all the way around and managed to hit yourself with it. But yeah, so gravity being integrated into gameplay is something I have a nice history with.
Yeah, it's quite fun in this game as well. I just really enjoyed that, how clean it looked, and then that little twist to it. It was fun to play. And I played against 3 of my friends. I'm going to move on to a game that's not multiplayer. And just so you know, Kemp, this is actually the wrong link to it. So a lot of people have probably heard of the game Passport Out, The Starving Artist, which is a game that's been out, and that's fine. And it's a great, great game. And I've talked about this game before, but I'm not here to talk about this game. I'm here to talk about the mobile version they were demoing, which had more brushes to choose from. You could use a touch screen instead of your mouse. There was more painting options. It was so cool. So loads of masterpieces were made with the PC version, but they were like working on an Android version that adds so much more to the gameplay. I don't see a mention of it on their site or anything, but I'm assuming I can talk about it because I played it in Sweden. And I was like, this is even more fun than the regular game, which I thought was so fun. If you don't know, Passport Out, The Starving Artist, it's a game about an artist who is making crappy paintings, basically. You're a French artist trying to navigate the confusing art scene and become the next Van Gogh. Draw your own art pieces and sell them to customers with different artistic desires in order to afford your crippling addiction to wine and baguettes. So you start off in this like crappy little house making art paintings, and people come by and they're like, you have no talent, or your art is shit. And you just continue to make art and sell them, and eventually be in a museum if you're good enough. It is quite difficult for me because I'm not very artistic, but I think having the tablet version adds a whole new twist to the game. If you want to pick up the PC version, it's just $10, $10 US, $9.99, and it's super fun. I'm just really excited that they're also doing a mobile version.
Yeah, I've seen this game being played before. I can't remember who I saw playing it, but it was the PC version. And yeah, it looked fun, and I guess on a tablet I can see how that would be really nice with a touchscreen.
It also has more brush options, which is just wonderful.
I mean, there's something I wouldn't be able to play because I cannot art. Art is not a thing I can do.
I can't art very well either, but...
But I will happily watch other people play this and see what crazy paintings they make.
Yeah, they were like showing off the best paintings on their Twitter and stuff before, so I hope they continue to do that once this new version's out. But yeah, it was just cool to see that they're still doing stuff with that. And the last game I'm going to talk about was called Clary and the Reaper Men, and this was another 2-player VR game that I sort of fell in love with. Basically, I'm going to read the description actually. Clara and the Reaper Man avoid dangers and solve puzzles and build your way through the underworld in this cooperative multiplayer game. Play as either Carly, maybe her name's Carly. Play as either Carly in a classic platforming game or step into VR and control the Reaper Man. Together you must find ways to overcome the obstacles and inhabitants of the underworld and get back to the world of the living. So one player plays Carly, who's just running around this like platforming world, and the other player plays this giant head in the sky with whiskers called the Reaper Man. And basically the Reaper Man got trapped in the underworld because he lost his scythe, and the only way to get out is to bring a living soul to the surface, and then he can go out and get his scythe and can go back and forth between the two worlds. I got to play the Reaper Man both times I played, so I got to... You help Carly move along by moving around blocks, like fire is chasing her, so you have to be super quick. And the best thing, in my opinion, about this game is that eventually you get to a point where the blocks can float in the sky. So you have all these platform blocks that can float in the sky, and you can speed run levels with them. But it's very tricky because you need X amount of blocks to get from one side of the arena to the other. And these blocks, once they float, once they're touched, they have 6 seconds and they disappear. And each time Carly dies and she uses you can get more blocks by using these switches, but the switches don't give you as many blocks as they lost. They give you a set number. So you can get to the point where you don't have enough blocks to finish the level and then you die. But there is so many good features in this game. Some levels are completely dark and you have a flashlight to help guide each other around. It takes a lot of communication and it's just so well done. Oh, it's so fun. Not quite out yet, but so amazing. It really is.
Yeah, again, another very asymmetrical game.
Yes.
It seems to be a bit of a theme at the moment.
Yeah, multiplayer asymmetrical games.
Yeah, and I really like that. More of that, please.
More. I had a great time playing this, though. The most frustrating, yelling, jumping around time. It was great. There's one more event I'd like to touch upon, but not necessarily the games from that event. I ran an event called Indies Unplayed a couple of days ago where loads of game developers came to showcase their game in Secret Weapon in Stratford, and loads of people came and played them, and I had a great time. A great time. And I just wanted to mention that. I ran a thing and it went well.
So this was actually you running it?
Well, that's not true. I helped run it. It was me and a couple of other people when we ran it, and I didn't, I had a great time. I feel like I didn't do as much as I could have, but, it was great.
Still, congratulations. Running an event is an achievement, no matter what part you played in actually running it. It's a good thing.
Yeah, and I had a great time showcasing the games, and I hope all the developers had a good time. They seem to. There's a variety of games there. There's Bomber Crew, there's Ruya, which we talked about last month. There was a text-based game that had never, like a Twine game, that had never shown off at an event before. That was super funny, and it was cool to have them there. There was a couple of Android games, quite a few PC games. It was really great. It was really great.
Yeah, sounds like a good time.
It was a good time. But that's it for the games so far. I guess there's some games to look out for, so I guess that's not it. We've got some things to look out for, not necessarily games. So we're going to move on to that. The first thing is Boyfriend Dungeon announced. Developers of the Shrouded Island and Moonhunters, Kit Fox Games, just announced their newest game, Boyfriend Dungeon. Plunder the dungeon. Yeah, plunder the dungeon and take your weapons on dates. Capture the hearts of the cuties to level them up. Boyfriend Dungeon is the playful shack and slash the world's been waiting for. So we're back to dating everything.
We are.
But
we've moved on to inanimate objects now.
But they're cute inanimate objects. You can rescue your weapons, and they're so cute looking. And then you can date them, and they turn into like people that you can date, and they're also your weapons. And I don't know, like this little gif of this like sword turning into a shirtless guy is quite nice.
Yeah, and I believe. So it was general chatter on Twitter. I didn't follow up too much, but I believe both the player and the weapons have all sorts of gender options. So there's male and female weapons, and I think there might be non-binary options. Non-binary weapons. My knowledge is a bit vague for this game, but I think I saw mention of that.
That's really nice. I'm really liking the looks of this. It looks really, really cool. I would love to date my weapons before I use them to kill other things.
Yeah, you have to be able to trust your weapons.
Trust my weapons. I don't have a comment for that. I'm just kind of laughing and tilting my head.
I mean, yeah, it's a fun concept. Sometimes you have to be able to laugh.
Yeah, so, date your weapons. I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what it, when it's released, how well it's received. I think it's a cool idea, mixing sort of dating sims and also dungeon crawlers.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting combination. And in our theme today of transitioning badly, in a completely unrelated style of game, there is a settlement building game that's been announced called The Colonists. And in this, you take control of a team of robots tasked with settling a newly discovered planet and preparing the ground for an influx of inhabitants from their homeworld. And basically advance from Stone Age to Space Age, building up the infrastructure. And it's a very cute-looking game. That seems to also be a theme this month.
My favourite games are cute-looking games.
It is nice to see. But the robots are cute. The train is very cute. You can build a train system and the train is really cute looking. As cute as a train could be. But yeah, apparently they're going to have a single player campaign, a free play mode, competitive multiplayer, co-op. They're going the whole way with the game modes. And they're looking at early access release on November the 9th, apparently. So by the time you read this, by the time you listen to this, you might even be able to go and have a look at it on Steam already.
You can wishlist it right now on Steam, so you'll know.
Yep.
It looks really cute. It looks like something I'd actually like to play. You can farm in it. You can gather resources. Those are things I've always wanted to do as a robot.
Yeah, it is the full settlement building experience, but just with robots on an alien planet, basically.
Cute robots. Good. The next thing is something you should look out for, which is happening very soon. The Proc Jam starting. I talk about the Proc Jam a lot. It's probably going to be started by the time you hear this. But the Proc Jam is a month-long procedurally generation jam where you want to make something that makes something. It doesn't necessarily have to be a game, just something that uses generation in some way. The art packs have been released, so you can use some art packs made specifically for this game jam. Tutorials have been released, so you can check out some tutorials that were, made with this jam in mind. And soon there are going to be a day of talks from all of the speakers. I am one such speaker that you can then watch on the interwebs. All in all, it's going to be really cool. There's also the Seeds Issue 2, which is the official zine of the Proc Jam, which I'm currently putting together tonight, actually. I should say that I've been working on it for a while, and I was doing quite a bit of work on it before I came to record this. The Proc Jam's not strict on its end date, so if you're hearing this a bit late and you still want to be a part of it, go be a part of it. It's super relaxed, super fun, and a great time. I love Proc Jam. I love the way that they're ran, and it's not a stressful 48-hour jam. It's a month-long, go-at-your-own-pace type jam.
Yeah. From what I see on Twitter, whenever it runs, it is a very relaxed, very nice experience. And everyone can get involved. I mean, it's not just for coders.
No,
I know game jams have a reputation for being very, very much for coders mainly.
No, this is for anyone who wants to make something that makes something. I mean, one person last year made a bot, made Twitter bots. That's a kind of popular thing that's done. I don't know if you need a coder to make Twitter bots. I don't know how to make them. But if you check out the Twitter as well, you end up seeing a lot of tutorials shared there on just starting places. And yeah, it doesn't have to be coding heavy at all. I trailed off there. Go join the Proc Jam. Go check out the Proc Jam. Go take a look at the Proc Jam. Join it next year. Submit something to one of their various things. If you're interested in generative stuff, this is where you should start. It's really wonderful. That's the end of things to look out for. We're going to move on to charity hype. There are a couple of charity things that have happened this month. The first thing is Special Effects One Special Day has raised a total of £300,000 for charity. UK Special Effect, a charity organization dedicated to helping people with disabilities benefit from the fun and therapeutic effects of video games, has managed to raise over $300,000 during its One Special Day charity event on September 29th. Numerous companies from the game industry participated, including Supercell, EA, Unity, Rovo, Twitch, and many more, helped out with that. Mobile games industry partners and their communities raised over $250,000 in total. Of the total, apart from the one-day event, a number of companies also contributed through game-themed events, game auction items, and live streams before the fundraiser. Special Effect had a target of just £100,000 and is shocked by the tremendous response. This total is way beyond all expectations. We cannot thank all our games industry partners enough for coming together to support people with disabilities, said Dr. Mick Donegan, founder and CEO of Special Effect.
It's a very good outcome. I mean, £300,000 is way above their target.
Way above. And it's really great to see. I know GamerBake helped a small amount in that because it's such a big number. But GamerBake did their One Special Day GamerBake where I got to judge, which is super fun. It was an honor to be a judge, but it's so great to see that they were able to surpass their goal. I got to see some of the charity live stream that was happening from various people during the GamerBake time, and it was really great. There's a lot of people that came together to make that number the way it is, and it's wonderful to see that much support.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see so many companies participating, really.
It is. So yeah, next. Ninja Theory to donate sales of Hellblades said you was sacrificed to charity for Mental Health Day and raised over £60,000. Tuesday, the 10th of October is World Mental Health Day. The developer had launched its own website, hellbladehelp.info, to help anyone suffering in silence to find help. This site lists various charities and support groups in major countries across the world. The funds from the sales of Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice will be going to UK-based mental health charity Rethink, which not only attempts to change the lives of those suffering from mental illness, but also campaigns for change in the law regarding mental health. From Ninja Theory's site. With your incredible support and by donating all of our proceeds from the sale of Hellblade on World Mental Health Day to charity, we've raised over £60,000 for mental health charity Rethink Mental Illness. So that's really great that it's done that for Mental Health Day.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cause that can be looked over sometimes when you got all the charities for obviously physical disabilities and for people who need support sort of with jobs and with homes and so on. And yeah, it's good to see, I guess, a developer taking it upon themselves to really support one of these charities.
Hmm. And the website that they've created is really sleek. It's simple, but it does the job. And you can just pick what country you're from, and it's got some resources there. So it's really handy if people are looking for help. Very important strides being made. Lastly, charities unite to help hospitalized disabled kids play games. During the week of the 16th of October to the 23rd, Able Gamers and Gamers Outreach announced a partnership that will see them working together to provide more accessible video games to hospitalized children. It's a nice bit of teamwork aimed at making the portable, self-contained video game stations, fittingly named go-karts, more accessible to kids and adults as well, though the kids are the main focus, who may have limited mobility or other special needs. To that end, the Able Gamers Foundation will be providing a number of extension packs that can augment a go-kart with a slew of specialized controllers and other tools that will make it easier to play games on the cart. So this is like a piece of technology that can be implemented in hospitals that allow disabled gamers to continue to play.
It's nice. There is a... Oh, is it special effects that also does the custom controllers and whatnot?
They create custom controllers to each person that needs them based on their specific needs. So it can be like a long process of monitoring and seeing what works. This looks like it's more of a default thing that you kind of put in hospitals that will then help a variety of people without looking at each of their special needs. So it might be a faster way to sort of get video games to more people. But yeah, special effect does do something similar.
Yeah, so I guess special effect is the custom side of things, and this is the, I guess, pre-built, so you can put them in a hospital and have a reasonable assurance that you'll cover most people who might want to use it.
Yes.
So you can get up and going much quicker and sort of make it available to more people.
Yeah, but it's a cool idea. I like how they call it go-karts. I wish there was like an actual picture of the go-kart itself. Because it'd be interesting to see what those look like. But there's just a picture of some people gaming, which is fine. I wonder if there'll be any, like, appearing. I don't know, I'm just kind of curious what it looks like. You know?
So it's got a picture of a little game kiosk in there.
Oh, that's quite interesting. So this is mobile, so it can go around.
Yeah.
Alright, so this can go from room to room. So I guess it's not like, I'm wrong.
It's got the... Yeah, I guess it can be wheeled around, and it's made of stuff that can be cleaned easily and has an antibacterial coating and that sort of thing.
I kind of thought it was more of a custom controller, but it's more of a it can travel around a hospital type thing.
Yeah.
Surprised something like this wasn't made sooner.
Each one costs $4,000 apparently.
Why?
I guess it's the... I mean, it's not mass manufactured, so I guess the manufacturing costs will be reasonably high compared to equipment that they're making millions of. I guess it has to be also... It has the special coatings and stuff, and...
I don't know. Moving on to some fun news. Devs celebrate the love of art, love of the art of level design with Blocktober hashtag. Ever wonder how level designers put out vast, sweeping levels without getting lost in a labyrinth of making their own? Well, thanks to Blocktober hashtag, all your dreams are about to come true. Naughty Dog game designer Michael Barclay started the hashtag on Twitter to celebrate the art of blocking out levels. If you've never come across the term before, it's a bit of jargon that describes the process of roughly mapping out a level using crude blocks that can easily convey size and scale. It's one of the earliest stages of level design process and lets creators visualize how players will move through and interact with a map or a stage before it's filled with juicy detail. The hashtag quickly gained traction, and thanks to the openness of devs from around the world, we've been given a bunch of behind-the-scenes looks at a plethora of games, including Blocktober, including blockbuster titles like Uncharted, Gears of War, and Titanfall. So this was super fun to watch appear on Twitter because it was like loads of games but bare bones of games, all in grey, and it was super interesting to look at them.
It was, especially for some of the games. I know when Uncharted came up a lot with this, where they did animations, or videos I guess, where they'd show the initial blocking out, and then a pass with some more textures and some more fine detail, and then the final version that was in the game. So you could sort of compare them side by side. It was all really interesting.
It's really great when stuff like this catches on and you get to see a little glimpse into developers' worlds.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you haven't seen that hashtag, you should explore it and check them out. Yeah, it was just a cool thing that happened this month.
Yeah, Blocktober to go with Inktober for the artists.
Yeah, that makes sense. There was also a curious experiment called What Happens to Your Steam Collection When You Die. After all, as we enter the digital age, it's highly likely that by the time some of us meet our maker, we'll have amassed a virtual library of considerable persona and monetary value. In the case of Steam, the subscriber agreement suggests that it'd be nearly impossible for an account user to leave their collection to another person when they shuffle off its moral coil. The document states that Steam accounts are strictly personal and may not be sold or transferred to another player unless specifically permitted by Valve. So, when you die, your Steam account doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And this was just sort of asked by some people over at Eurogamer in their latest episode of Here's the Thing. I don't know. It's quite interesting. I wouldn't really think about passing my Steam library down to anyone because it is just something on the internet. But I guess a lot of people might want to because of the amount of money that you can spend on games on Steam.
Yeah, I mean, I know if you play a lot of games, your Steam library has a significant amount of money put into it. And I guess if you have someone you want to pass it to and you don't want them to be paying for all the games all over again. I do wonder how this interacts with the family library sharing feature, where other people, if they log into their Steam account on your computer, they can play the games that you own. I believe is how that works.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, so I wonder how this whole concept interacts with that. Because in theory, it would mean, I guess, that they'd have to keep this computer forever if they wanted to keep using that, wouldn't they?
It's weird. It's a weird thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't die, because your Steam games can't be passed down. Don't get to be a part of your will.
Yeah, we should work on that immortality. Then we won't have to worry about any of these things.
And so we have one more potential talking point. Apparently more games released on Steam so far this year than the whole of 2016. Daniel Ahmed, also known as ZHugeEX on Twitter, released an interesting statistic on Twitter stating the number of game releases so far on Steam in 2017 has surpassed the total sum of games released on Steam in 2016. He also predicts that the number of games released on Steam for 2017 will surpass 6,000 by this holiday. Whatever this holiday means. Does he mean Halloween? Does he mean today? No.
I don't know, actually. This holiday, it must mean Halloween if he says this holiday, mustn't it?
He might mean Christmas.
But yeah, see, I don't know if I'm too surprised about this because we've only got 2 months left.
Yeah, it's been steadily rising.
And we know that the number of games released increases every year. I mean, it's certainly an interesting statistic, but I wouldn't say it's...
Well, if you weren't aware of it, they're always increasing. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's mind-blowing, but it is interesting to know where in the year we pass that point.
And apparently that's October.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll be the same next year.
Surely it should be faster next year because it'll be more growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all the news we have. How do you think this went without Joseph?
Joseph? Who's Joseph?
Who's Joseph? There's always only been 2 of us. But yeah, that's all that we have here. Hopefully some of this has been interesting. Hopefully you have some new games to check out. If you're listening to this on iTunes, feel free to rate us because apparently I should ask for that. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit thumbs up. Is that something people still ask to do? Or whatever. Let us know how this is and if you like it and if you enjoy it. Join our Discord and tell us news things and then we'll talk about them, which is really great. Yeah, that's basically all the bits that I should tell you at the end. If you want to find me, I'm at Jupiter_Hadley on Twitter.
And if you want to find me, I'm at KentPlays on Twitter.
And yeah, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.